Hello and welcome. I'm Beth. This is my channel, Mindful Yoga with YogiBethC. Here you'll find slow, gentle yoga practices with a mental health focus. I'm a psychologist. Okay, so for today, we're bringing back 2-minute holds. There are 2 prior videos on this that a lot of you really enjoyed. And so I'm trying another one. This time, we're going to focus on strength practices. And I'm using this book as inspiration. This is Yoga for Osteoporosis by Fishman and Saltonstall. You may know that Dr. Fishman has a series of 12 classic poses that can help prevent and reduce osteoporosis. This time in today's video, we're going to focus on some of the yoga poses to build muscle strength. And holding them even longer helps us to build muscle strength. So we're going to be holding for 2 minutes. I have a chair here, and some of the poses using the chair is going to help us to sustain the 2-minute hold. Okay, so I have my timer. I'm going to put down my book. The first pose we're going to do is a classic standing pose, Warrior 2. So spread your feet wide, wider than hip width. Turn your toes on your right foot if you're mirroring me, or excuse me, your left foot if you're mirroring me, out to the side. Right will turn in naturally a little bit. Make sure this feels comfortable so that your weight can stay centered. You might have to move your feet a little in or a little out. And find a place where you can sustain the bent knee of the left leg over the ankle. So make sure this all feels good first. Weight stays in the center, so not leaning forward, not leaning back. And then we reach our arms out. I'm going to start timing now. And you can either, I'm looking at you, you can gaze over the fingertips of your extended arm. And as you hold, because again, we'll be holding for 2 minutes, you can really think about your form and the things that are engaging in this pose to help keep you here. So already you might feel some stuff happening in your lower legs. This front leg, we want to engage the top muscle, the quadricep. Feel as if you're pulling on those muscles or engaging those muscles so that the bone, the femur bone, pulls right here into the hip joint. You take a moment to notice that first. And then on the back leg, we need to engage the muscles of the inner thigh. And really the outer glute hip area kind of helps us get that expansive shape. With the feet, even though they're moving away from each other, you can imagine feeling like they're pulling toward each other. And that will really help engage some of these inner thigh muscles more. It's been just over a minute, so we have a little more time here. And then we can think about reaching out through the arms, extending through the lower arms, reaching from the armpit, reaching from where the arms attach to the shoulders. If you don't like these arms and would prefer cactus arms, works fine. And this is really strength building for the lower body, so if your arms get tired, feel free to rest them. A little bit more time. In the whole pose, you can have a chair in front of you for balance. So I'm not using the chair in this pose, but that's fine. And it's fine. You can take the shape and seat your hips, pelvis right on the chair. That's another option. All right, a few seconds. And then let's come up. Ooh, take a moment to feel the relief in that leg. It's still going to work as we go to the other side, grabbing my clock so that I can see the time. Find your stance here. Your right foot this time turns out to the short edge of your mat. Left comes back, toes turned in a little bit. And you can be heel to instep alignment. You can be heel to heel. You can find a wider stance. Find a stance that's secure because you know we're going to hold for 2 minutes. So I'm about heel to heel or heel to instep. I'm going to bend my knee. See and make sure that that's comfortable. Notice whether I'm starting to lean into the front leg. That's more towards side angle pose. So warrior, our shoulders are upright over our hips. And then let's start timing now. Let's see how this pose feels on this side for a few breaths. Notice how your arms are arranged. Your shoulder blades have to widen to reach your arms. Anytime your arms come up, your shoulder blades start to widen and raise. But can you let your shoulder blades be wide without your shoulders getting scrunchy? So as they come up, they're opening up and out. They will raise. If my arms are overhead, my shoulders, the tops of my deltoids have to lift up, but they don't have to lift up when they're there, at least not as much. And then all the same activation we did on the first side. Feel as if the feet are isometrically dragging in toward each other. Feel the weight settled on both feet. You can push into the outer edge of the back foot, even as you use the inside muscles of the back leg to draw that leg in toward the midline, into center. So the arms are activated here. It's not as much strength work for the arms because we're not bearing any load on them. We're bearing the load on the lower body. If you don't want to have them have the endurance challenge, you can rest them. All right, we're almost done on this side. Last breath or two. And keep strong, rooting down into your feet as you rise up tall and turn your feet to face center. Now our next pose is going to be a wide-legged forward fold. You can stay right here, or you can step your feet in, find your mountain pose for a moment as I adjust the chair. I'm going to take the chair right in front of me, and I want to show you a couple options with the chair. If you want to do your wide forward fold without the chair, that's easy enough to do. Timer is important too. Okay, let's step our feet wide again if you're not already there. Have them approximately parallel to each other. You're engaging different muscles depending on whether your toes are turned out. When our feet are turned out, it engages the glutes muscles that are already pretty strong. So turning the feet parallel or the toes in a little toward each other, ask some of the other muscles to do some work here. The hinge forward is going to be right here from the hip crease. You can put your fingertips there so you can start to feel that hinge forward. And we're coming down toward the chair. You can have extended arms on the back of the chair, or if your chair is out further, try not to drop my clock here, you can have extended arms on the seat of the chair. You can also bend your arms and let your head come down to your arms on the chair that way. So I might move around a little bit so you can still hear and see me. Now let's come forward, let's find our place and start timing. And I'll even turn my chair a little sideways so you can see me better. You can keep yours in whatever position is comfortable. So if you're coming all the way down, my hips are staying pretty much between my feet. I'm letting my upper body come to some rest. And just like in our Warrior 2 pose, you can push into the outer edges, this time of both feet. So make sure the outer edges are rooted, and then use the muscles of your inner thighs to isometrically pull your legs in toward each other. So pushing and pulling at the same time really helps engage the muscles more. The more we pull the muscles in toward the bone, not only does that help with muscle strength, you'll get the bonus of aiding in bone strength. Stay here and just show you quickly if you'd like to come down to the floor or to blocks. Hands would come underneath you. Feel free to do a ragdoll version of this pose as well. wherever you are, your hips stay between your feet, so you're not leaning back, more of a down dog version. You're staying pretty upright and getting that tip forward with your pelvis. So your tailbone, your sacrum rises toward the ceiling, whether you're here, here, or here. And I think we're about at time, so let's take about 3 more breaths. And use your hands on your chair or your hands on your legs to walk yourself back up to upright, and we'll heel toe the feet in, find our standing forward fold once more. I think you got about a bonus 30 seconds on that side. Those forward folds can feel so nice. Even though it was asking our legs to get stronger, we had a bit of a release for the upper body. Okay, we'll come down to our knees now. You're going to want your chair off to one side. So send it out to your right side if you're mirroring me. This is one of my favorite poses, gate pose. It shows up in a lot of my classes and videos. So we're going to extend your right leg. It's going to scooch right under the chair. Now start with placement of the leg. Toes can point out. They can point forward toward me. We're emphasizing stability. So in each pose, we're finding where we feel most stable so that we can hold the pose and engage in muscular strength or promote muscular strength. Okay, so once you have your foot stable, you're free to take something under this bottom knee for extra cushion. Mine's already pretty cushioned. Take the same arm as leg, extend it, rest it on the chair. Reach up with your opposite arm, and then we'll take a lateral stretch in that direction. Timer starting now. So the chair gives us a little bit of support so we don't have to lean on our leg. You might have more extension than I do and slide further on the chair. Reach toward the backrest of the chair. Doesn't matter. Remember that the aspect that helps us to build muscle is the weight-bearing aspect. So we're holding our poses in a position of gravity and for a period of time. So that's the stress on the muscle. You're getting some stretch as well. Likely may feel some stretch along this side of the body somewhere. And remember, this top arm is encouraging us to elongate, but it's not really adding to the muscle building. So if you'd like to take it out of the equation, put it to the side for the last minute, go ahead and do that. Head is placed where it feels comfortable. I'm looking at you. If that's not comfortable for you to look back at me, maybe look down to your leg, let your chin rest, or soften. Of course, the breath is nourishing us in these longer holds. It may get a little bit more rapid, a little bit more labored. If you can connect with it, let it be as full as is comfortable for you, with even breaths in, even breaths out. And let's take one more round of breath here. Breathe in. And as you exhale, help yourself up. Now, unexpectedly, as you bring that leg in, or draw that leg in, you might feel a lot of stuff. Give yourself time to make this transition to the second side. Hopefully you have a chair that's pretty sturdy. At least 2 of the legs should be on your mat so that your chair won't slide away. Take your leg extended under your chair and adjust. It's great if your chair doesn't have this bottom bar like mine does to give a little bit more room for your leg. Sometimes a standard dining chair works even a little better. All right, so I'm going to find the placement for my foot, and the placement might even be a little bit ahead of my knee, depending on how my pelvis feels. I'm just going to find a place where it feels pretty stable. Hand comes to the chair, and then we breathe in and reach our gate pose on this side. I like this so much because our sides can get really tight from how we sit, many of us, all day. And this is not a direction that we stretch in that often in our everyday lives. We twist, we move it forward and back. We don't tend to go side to side all that much. Even in this pose, you can feel that sense of isometrically drawing the extended leg towards center by engaging the inner thighs. You might feel a little scoop of your pelvis to keep you upright from the knee, kind of flat here in the front. So that's where the tiny little scoop of my pelvis comes in, and then reaching long through the side body. And remember, you can either choose to reach with that top arm, or it can come down. It doesn't have to be part of the pose if you don't want it to be. Head gazes wherever is comfortable. And we have about 30 more seconds on this side. Breathing in and out, but through the nose can support the energy in your poses. If you know ujjayi breathing or that ocean breath, the sound in your back of the throat, you can engage in that type of breathing as well. Last breath. Come up. Taking the legs slowly. Take a moment either on standing knees, or you might lower down to a seated hero pose. Right, we've done a little bit of side and forward folding. I'm going to do a back bend, a camel pose with the chair. So the chair is going to provide support for our pose. This time, your back is going to be facing the chair and both feet are going to go under it. You start in an upright kneeling, and again, you can place more padding under your knees if you wish. Place the hands at the front where your, again, crease of your leg is, or where your femur enters your pelvic. And we're trying to make that part relatively flat and faced forward. So as you round back, we don't want to tip to one side or tip to the other, and we don't want to hinge to sit back. We want this action to come from our upper back. To help with this, take the hands on the chest, lift the chest toward the sky. And I just realized I probably have to change the position of my clock or I'm not going to see it once we get in the pose. Lift the chest, so breathe in, feel the chest elongate and lift up. Those side bodies that we just stretched, feel those grow longer as well. And then reach your arms behind you, kind of like a cape, thumbs out, and start to reach toward the chair as you continue to press your hips forward, lift your chest up, draw your shoulder blades together on your back, and begin to get a little rounding. And so this is the version of chair where I'm going to stay, where my kind of the base of my palms is resting. So this is where we're going to start, with the base of my palms resting, lifting up to the sky. I'm still scooping forward with my lower body, pressing down with my hands, drawing my shoulder blades on the back, lifting my chest toward the sky. Now, I generally like to keep my neck pretty much extended from my spine or looking directly forward. If you find your head feels comfortable for the extension of the front of your neck, you can look more up or even more toward the back That is dependent on you. All right, we have about another minute in this pose. Come out sooner if that works better for you. You could also adjust where you are holding on the chair. But that actually feels a little better to me. Thumbs out, palms pressing into the edges of the chair. It gives me a little bit more expansiveness across the back. And really breathing here, so I don't want to hold my breath as I hold the pose. You can feel that there's a lot of action going on. This is not at all a passive pose. My legs are working. My glutes are engaging to help keep my pelvis and my legs moving forward. My abdominal muscles have to engage to help keep my body upright. The upper back muscles particularly engage as my shoulders open and I get width across the chest. All right, I think we have 2 more breaths. And last one. Slowly use your hands to bring yourself back upright. Take a moment, upright or seated on your heels, to breathe. And then we're slowly going to come back to standing. You can use your chair to help. And we'll stand up facing the chair. Our last pose is going to be downward facing dog on the chair with the hands on the chair. This is really customizable. So my hands are going to be on the palm of the chair, but I'll first show you hands on the back of the chair. Hands on the back of the chair, you'll be a little bit more like L shape, reaching the hips back. Hips are probably going to stay over feet and arms extend long. So that's the first version. If you have a wall nearby rather than a chair, you can place hands on the wall. I'm going to do palm of the hands on the chair, stepping back, our last pose, and we'll do it for about 2 minutes. All right, so find your hands on the chair. You can slightly grip the edges of the chair so that your hands are in a good placement. Start to walk your heels back. And you might find that your feet are a little bit further back than your hips. You're bending at the hip crease, and we're starting the timing now. Keeping the arms extended, so reach forward from the armpits, lift the armpits, lift the sacrum, so the back of the pelvis. You're reaching the tailbone away, reaching the arms in the opposite direction. Make sure your chair is firmly planted. Armpits lift to encourage your arms to widen on your upper back, or your shoulder blades to widen as your arms are connected there. And then maybe your chest starts to sink a little bit more toward the floor, still staying active, so not rounding, staying extended. Ears come toward the arms, maybe between the arms. Nourishing breaths help with this pose. Do my timer peak. And as we're here a little bit, you might find the tendency to kind of collapse. Keep active. You can certainly keep active and bend, straightening the legs while you're doing that. And keep the muscles engaged and active, at least as long as you decide to stay in the pose. You can come out of the pose or take one more breath with me. And then walk your feet in. Come up to mountain pose. This time you can take a breath and sigh it out like I just did. If you want, have a seat right on your chair. There goes my clock. But we're done. Thank you for joining me today. If you like this, I will link to the other 2-minute videos down below. I have plenty of other offerings for you to try as well. Please do subscribe to my channel, comment to let me know what you think and what you'd like to see for future videos. Thank you and enjoy the rest of your day.